Yes, welcome to your program Development Zone, where we celebrate achievers, unveil the core potential of our nation, and also celebrate those that have contributed immensely to building our country. Today on the program, we will be talking national issues, and our major focus is the crisis in River State. And our guest in the program today is Ambassador Dr. Godknowas Igali. He is the chairman of PANDEF. You'll be hearing his view about the ongoing challenge in River State and some national issues. Sit back, relax. I'll be right back.
What is happening in River State is unfortunate. I wish it did not degenerate to this level or this situation because it's festered on for over 1.5 years, and we're already working towards peace. We're at the threshold of peace. I must repeat, we're at the threshold of peace. We're almost about to arrive at the promised land before the state of emergency was declared. I say so because initially PANDEF, as the mother regional body, did not want to get involved. There were other forces at play trying to make peace. And when we saw that it was not working, PANDEF had to come in. We appointed a 7-man, very high-level peace committee, peace and reconciliation committee, headed by the former governor of Akwa Ibom State, Obong Victor Atta. And it had in its membership 3 former governors and 3 former leaders of the Senate, and one former leader of House of Representatives as secretary. All from the different states, from Edo, from Delta, from Cross River, from Akwa Ibom, from Bayelsa. There was nobody from River State, deliberately. And they started to broker. Initially, it was not easy for them because the two sides, nobody wanted to talk to each other. And each of the two sides, everybody wanted to hold to their positions. Well, for me, as a professional diplomat, we are used to it in conflict management, where you are trying to broker peace. Most times it is very violent at the beginning. But over time, people saw the need for dialogue, the need for peace. And they started to cooperate with the committee. So about a month ago, the committee met severally with the people on the two sides. Which are the two sides? Those close to the governor of the state, Sir Similaye Fuara, those close to the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Chief Nyesom Wike. And they met with them, and they met also with the governor twice, the peace committee, where he gave them assurances that he's ready for peace, and he's ready to meet his former principal, his former boss, whom, by the way, still calls him my boss. Each time you talk to him and say my boss, that's referring to Chief Nyesom Wike. And also they met his supporters, those very close to him, and they held meetings with those very close to Chief Nyesom Wike. Unfortunately, they had not gotten to the final point of meeting face-to-face with Chief Wike to also get his buy-in. But those who are his chief supporters, very senior Nigerians who are with him, at least said, we are ready for peace. You get a neutral place where we can all meet. I was charged. The committee reported back to me that they will be interested in meeting a neutral place. And I went on to approach one of the South-South governors. And he accepted that he would host a peace meeting over a weekend. We can sit down and discuss, disagree, and agree, and finally come out with a win-win situation. But that's where we were before the Supreme Court judgment came out. When the Supreme Court judgment came out, it was a reversal for the peace process. I'm not talking about law. We're talking about a humanistic approach to conflict management. Because what he did, the law, that's why law is blind. He said, this is this, this is that. And then people now took fixated positions. Oh, this is what the law said. I'm right, you are wrong. That's where we were. So we're at the threshold of peace. We're about to go to this place, location. And the governor was very kind, gracious enough to say, come to my state, I'll host this peace meeting. And I will disclose it was the governor of Cross River State. I went to Calabar, I met him, And he was ready. He said, yes, I'm ready to host. Please come. I'll provide every facility. So that's the extent to which we went before the Supreme Court judgment now came. And after that, the leaders of Niger Delta went to meet Mr. President to say, okay, judgment has come out. There are threats of impeachment. There are threats of will not agree. There are all kinds of threats. Please talk to all the sides, you as the father of the country, and allow us to continue with our peace effort. We went with, out of the 6 states, we went with 4 of the chairmen of the traditional rulers' councils and some very senior Nigerians. There were about 5 former governors, about 7 former ministers, about 20 former senators, including leaders of the House of Rep and Senate, and other very senior Nigerians in the delegation of about 100 people. So the president, he was very gracious. He received us well. And he said, go ahead with the peace effort. I'm happy you people are making peace. Continue and report back to me. That's where we were a week later. What we had was state of emergency. So that's why I said it was unfortunate, because we were already arriving somewhere. But again, and we can't cry over spilled milk. It has happened. And peace does not have an end. We have to continue. And PANDEF is continuing to talk to those 2 sides. You know, we're the same people. We're all brothers and sisters. I grew up in Port Harcourt. I went to primary school in Port Harcourt, St. Paul's Primary School. I went to Federal Government College, Port Harcourt. I was a pioneer student in the University of Port Harcourt. So that is my city. Like many of us from the South, we have our homes there, even if we are not from River State. But in my case, my determination to commitment to peace is as a leader of the people of the South of this country. We have to work because any injury on one part is an injury on all of us. The sole administrator, Vice Admiral Ibas, is a good friend. I know him. We are all people from the same part of the country. We all joined the federal service at about the same time. They were in the military. Some of us were in other services, diplomacy and other things. And we've all grown up to the peak, very peak of our careers. So he's a man with a distinguished career. And his last appointment was as an ambassador. He joined us in diplomacy. So we know him for his service and service record. He's a fine gentleman. But he will be surprised that I have not congratulated him. I found it very difficult to congratulate him because I have issues with his appointment. Without sounding immodest, I have had the privilege to work with several former presidents as a career officer from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And, you know, in the presidency, those people you see around the president are seconded, mostly from the security services and from the foreign affairs. A lot of those you see are from foreign affairs. Some are from DSS, some are from NIA, and so on. So I've worked with several presidents. And these issues of emergency rule, these issues of where they want to declare, eventually they do not declare, we have been behind the scene, taking records and listening to what the postulations and the positions of legal experts, constitutional lawyers, administrators, and so on. All over the world, a lot of circumstances can allow a government to declare emergency rule. The most common is natural disasters. When tsunamis occur or hurricanes, they declare a state of emergency, which enables the federal government, the central government, to move in, to operate without let. Then they can appoint a coordinator of federal affairs. In some countries, like America, they will send the National Guard to move in when there's a state of emergency to help with relief materials, to carry out federal operations. In political cases, like this case that you move in, there are cases where there's major breach of security, like we had with Boko Haram in 2013, where Boko Haram took over 3 states. 3 states. Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe. Boko Haram took over these 3 states and pinned their flag. That constitutes as a classicus. That is a classic case where you have to declare state of emergency. In fact, that section 305 talks the main of the constitution everybody talks about, with knowledge or without knowledge, talks about it, is that where there's an external invasion, external aggression against any part of the country. So what happened in those 3 states was a classic case, simplicity of what will warrant a state of emergency. When we got to that level, and in the meetings that were held around President Jonathan, I must salute unreservedly Mohammed Adoke. Senior advocate of Nigeria, was Attorney General. Naturally, the military said, no, Mr. President, this aggression against Nigeria is unacceptable. For these people to take over our territories, we, the military, must move in and clear them up. Who are they? We'll clear them in a few days. Adoke said, yes, sir, but you cannot remove the elected government. He knows the law. And Adoke was ready to put his job on the line. He said, Mr. President, I will not remain as an Attorney General to see such illegality. There's a Supreme Court judgment in the Daria case. You cannot, one arm of government cannot say the other arm of government or the other tier of government do no longer exist. There are other constitutional provisions, including the National Assembly, taking over the functions of the State House of Assembly. But you cannot remove an elected governor. Mohammed Adoke stood his ground. His speech had been prepared for the president. And the president said, okay, if that's a legal opinion, I will always obey the law. You see, the problem with Nigeria, with all due respect, people who have the duty, the presidents of this country are human beings. You don't expect, Mr. President, to be a legal expert, to be a constitutional expert, to be an administrative expert, to be a finance expert, to be an expert on environment. You make inputs into the presidency to help the man to administer the country. I don't even blame President Tinubu. I blame the people that cannot stand up like Adoke to President Jonathan, or cannot stand up to the military. When foreign invasion took place in Nigeria, they said, Mr. President, with all due respect, you cannot. The law does not give you that power. Yes, let the military move in and operate. But the structures of democracy cannot be stripped away, cannot be pulled down. So that is why, for me, despite the fact that I have great and tremendous respect for Vice Admiral Ibas, I found it difficult for me to congratulate him on this job. Yes, of course, a call to service. That you have been called to serve under very difficult circumstances, when some of us found it difficult to congratulate you. But that haven't taken place. Yes, he's somebody who is in reserve. In fact, his own situation is even better than those of us who are civilians who were in service before. Because in his own case, a military man is a reserve. I know career ambassadors answer the title ambassadors all their life, just like generals, because you can be called upon to serve at any time. So military people, when they are called, you must serve. So he has gone to serve. And we wish him the best. But he does not have my congratulations, because the circumstances are inauspicious. But having been there and assumed duties, and today, first as a responsible senior citizen of this country, and number 2 as a leader of people of a whole geopolitical zone of this country, I will only encourage our people to cooperate with him, to keep the peace, to work with him for the period that he's working there, to ensure that he finishes his work on time and he leaves, because there's still an elected government. Now, you asked me about the decisions he has taken. I'm worried. I was passing through the VIP in Port Harcourt Airport, and I saw that the governor's picture was not there. And I asked, Minister of Aviation, MD of FAN, where is the governor's picture? Somebody there looked down and said, oh God, they don't remove them all. Who removed it? That they got instruction to remove it. That was terrible. The man is still the governor. You can't remove his picture. He's still the governor of the state. And on an inquiry, I got to know that this was done in other government offices. That is not right. And of course, we have heard the other decisions. Yes, under emergency, under his sole administratorship, he has the power to appoint those he needs to work with. But you can't say you have removed the council of traditional rulers. You have dissolved it. You have dissolved the Electoral Commission. You have dissolved the Primary Schools Board. You have dissolved every board. You have dissolved even university councils. What? The law of the National University Commission says that university councils all over the country, under the law of university autonomy, you can't remove a university council, dissolve them, unless for corruption or for incompetence. Those are the only two grounds under which you can remove them. I see that these days they can remove councils anytime they like, and so it's wrong. You don't do that. University autonomy, ASU, interestingly, led by my friend Jaga, we're all pro-chancellors at the same time, fought hard for many years to arrive at university autonomy. Says that because we must insulate our academic institutions from political vagaries, they must be insulated. You can't just whimsical and capricious way remove pro-chancellor, remove vice-chancellor, appoint today, tomorrow appoint somebody else. No. When you appoint them bad enough or good enough, they must run their tenure. But now sole administrator also removes all university councils, dissolves them. I don't know. I spent all my working life in public service. I joined federal service at the age of 22 and rose to become a very senior ambassador and a very senior permanent secretary. So I'm a systems person. And we always used to remind politely our ministers and the presidents, because permanent secretaries work closely with their ministers and the president. We used to advise politely, sir, we think this is the way things should be done. They may accept, but we always advise like that. So I find it a very serious aberration and a decline of the structures of democracy and of good governance and institution building in our country, that such things take place, where a man just comes and says university councils dissolved. Then you appoint who you like, or traditional rulers council, natural rulers, people that are in perpetuity, that gain their power from our ancestors, from what keeps us as a people. Somebody comes to appoint us and say traditional rulers council dissolved. I don't know who is advising these things, but there should be a rethink. And I always also advocate, if you're in government and you make a mistake, there's nothing wrong in policy somersaults. Oh, we are sorry. The assumptions we had, what we thought was the situation was not correct. So this is what we want to do. But sometimes people feel that, well, I've done this, whether it's wrong or right, it will perpetuate. One good thing that has come out of this declaration of state of emergency is the decision added by the National Assembly that there should be a committee to make peace. I have already in another statement said that PANDEF had already gone far with peace. We are at the threshold to what they say quarter to, before all this Armageddon happened. And we'll be ready to share information with that peace committee. We urge Mr. President, we call Mr. President to graciously, as a father of the country, set up the peace committee. There are credible Nigerians, incorruptible, Nigerians that cannot be influenced, to go in and make peace. And it is in the interest of the country to make peace in Rivers State. It is the heart of the oil industry. It is the center of the national economy. What happens in Rivers State reverberates to affect Bayelsa, to affect Delta. These are the two immediate states to affect. And even Imo, which has lesser amount of oil, but it's directly neighboring, Abia, directly neighboring to Rivers State. These are oil-producing states. Then further down, Akwa Ibom, which is also a neighbor of Rivers State, Akwa Ibom. In fact, it is the main state that has neighbors with almost everybody. It's only Edo State that's a little bit off. So we want peace to return to that state, because it is always better to judge than to war. And if there is peace, there's win-win, everybody will enjoy. And for us, who are Port Harcourt boys, although we are not too young, they call us Port Harcourt boys. These people on both sides, whether with Wike or with Sinfubara, many of them are our younger brothers in Port Harcourt. And we have a great conviviality in Port Harcourt. Happiness. We want that happiness to return to the city. Today, two people who grew up together, were in kindergarten, in nursery school, in primary school, secondary and university, don't talk to each other. The same family, answer the same surname, don't talk to each other. Don't talk to each other. Their children don't go to each other's houses again. Why? Because of some misunderstanding between two individuals. And we're all people of the same faith. Almost all of us. Fubara is an Anglican Christian. Wike is an Anglican Christian. From the same church denomination. So it's all very funny. And when you ask the two sides, what is really the problem? It's difficult to pin down the problem. It is human ego. This person said that, that person said that. And I told, don't listen to what these people say. Because some people are just there to cause trouble. My position on this matter, personal position, had always been, there's court cases, they say, once you take your brother to court and win him, you can never, you have lost a brother. My position has been win-win. The winner takes it all, does not work. Let us share. Let the winner share with loser. Let loser share with winner. Let's have a balance. I'll tell you something. A time in my career, I was secretary to Bayelsa State Government. I was working with President Obasanjo, and then I was a senior special assistant. Then, when President Jonathan became governor, he asked Obasanjo to release me to work with him as his secretary to state government, which is allowed constitutionally. So I was seconded to the state. While we were there was a particular individual from my state that was so powerful, so close to Obasanjo, that he insisted that individual must take over, and Jonathan should not be given a chance. But subsequently, and Jonathan was a governor that was so popular. If we conducted an election, President Jonathan would take 100%, maybe let's say 99%, because that man will vote for himself. But Obasanjo imposed peace on him. I said, Jonathan, all appointive positions you take 70%. This individual, who is not a ghost, his name is Timi Alaibi, the MD of NDDC, my brother Timi Alaibi, said to me, you will take 30%. Timi said, no, Mr. President, I will wait. He said, come on, keep quiet. You take 30%, Jonathan 70%. National Assembly, the same thing. State Assembly, the same thing. And that is how the two sides sat down. Okay, Timi, where and where do you want to sit? He agreed. In fact, the person in the House of Rep was my nephew, no, not nephew, my cousin, who was close to him. From my place, I said, no, I'm SSG. Why should you take from my village? Go to your side and take. Why? So I will have somebody who is not from my camp, that is Jonathan camp, representing me in the House of Rep. Jonathan said, don't worry, let's give it. And we accepted. And a young man from my place, who is my relation, who was not with me politically, now was the man representing us in the House of Rep. The present governor of Bayelsa State, which many people don't know, Governor Doye Diri, came into Jonathan's government from Timi Alaibi. And he was appointed Commissioner of Sports and Youth. After which, under this arrangement, he went to House of Reps and became a member of House of Reps. Well, times have changed. He's now a man of his own. and he's the boss of Timi and everybody. But I'm just trying to give you an example that power can be shared by anybody, and a win-win situation can come. And that's how I went into Bayelsa. Peaceful elections, because we have already agreed on the formula. And where we were very strong, we had to tell our candidates to take it easy, because we've agreed. We are going to get somewhere in River State. This is what the kind of thing that the PANDEF was midwifing in our mediation. And but there are other things I can't say here that we'll share with the committee, if whenever a committee is appointed, to help them to arrive at peace. If peace arrived as early as possible, Vice Admiral Bass, I believe, will wind up his affairs and leave, because he's an aberration. I listened to my son, Josh Turner, yesterday on Arise Television, and he spoke about the proposed rally. Unfortunately, I didn't hear what the governor said earlier, because they kept referring to what the governor had said earlier. But he said they were holding a rally to express solidarity with Mr. President and to do solidarity with the Minister of FCT, who has facilitated a number of appointments. Constitutionally, any Nigerian can hold any event anywhere if he gets permission of the security authorities, and the security authorities are under the governor, who is the chief security officer of the state. He knows the barometer of social and security situation in the state, the dynamics. At any time, the governor is informed. The same way Mr. President has a bird's eye view of what's happening in the country, the governor does the same in his own state. And the governor has come to say, no, this is not the right time. It's not the right time. So why are we debating about it? I don't know what has happened to Josh Turner. It's my son. I will not deny him. I mentored him. Or maybe we'll come and tell them that I didn't mentor him. He's a brilliant boy, and I'd always believed in his capacities. But on this one, he's wrong. He's a lawyer. He should know. If the chief security officer of the state tells you that my state is not ripe for this, and the governor said it's because the Minister of FCT had made some disparaging remarks about the job people, including the dead Chief Edwin Clark, the national elder statesman that has not been buried. His burial is just coming up ahead. He said, who is Edwin Clark? Huh? When Tinubu himself, the day I went to see Tinubu, before we even spoke, President Tinubu said, let us observe a minute of silence for Chief Edwin Clark. President Tinubu. The minister said, who is Edwin Clark? My God. He said, that man, the spiff. When we went to see the president said, sorry, I'm demonstrating. I'm not a thespian, but something said, I will breach protocol. You know, he's a typical Yoruba man. The Yorubas have a lot of tradition and respect. He came down from his seat and came and shook spiff like this. The man who became governor at the age of 25 and did what Napoleon could not do. The structures he built in River State have not been replicated anywhere in southern Nigeria. The tallest building after Cocoa building till today, going to more than 30 years after. And all the infrastructure, Port Harcourt International Airport, so many things. You Wike said, and he's a revered national elder statesman. He said, that man, Dieter Spiff, I used to respect him. I don't respect him. My goodness. When your president came and shook him with two hands, and he's from Bayelsa State, they say, who are job people? They are minority of the minorities. How do you want them to feel? Apart from demarketing the president, which he's doing. And but you see, Wike, he's also my younger brother. I love Wike because he works hard. When we came to Abuja, I was appointed minister. And some Nigerians said, this is a southern Nigerian. It was PANDEF that mobilized youth, and we took over this town. And said, Nigeria belongs to everybody. If Mr. President, in his wisdom, appoints him, you people cannot say he should go back to the creeks. He has a right. We stood by Wike, and PANDEF will always stand by Wike if anybody touches him. But when he goes overboard, we'll also tell him, our son, you are not correct too. So for him to say abuse his job people, or is he now saying that he does not believe the Jaws are the fourth largest ethnic group in Nigeria? And be say, who are job people? So when you do that, you have raised ethnic embers. But fortunately, his own group, the Kwere people and ancient people, are very close to the job people. The intermarriage among us is so much that no job man can hurt. So it's not an ethnic thing. It's an individual thing. But he as an individual, you have desecrated and disparaged an entire group of people in Nigeria. Tomorrow you say, I am coming to your land to carry out a rally. You know, the governor, you can deploy all the security services. But one or two renegade young men can come and say, this man, today you kill all of us and cause trouble. Army will, security will try to protect everybody. Somebody can die. Somebody can be hurt. And to create a problem. So the governor said, don't do this thing now. Why are we debating it? Why are you asking that question? And by the way, my son, Josh Turner, you say you want to thank Mr. President for his appointments. Yes, he has done some good appointments. We appreciate him. But has Bayelsa gotten more appointments than Kaduna State, than Kano State, than 4 ministers? The highest minister Bayelsa has is a minister of state. A minister of state. That you think that we should, all Bayelsa should be the theater from where we come and show power? No. George, I don't think you are right. You shouldn't insist. If the governor says security is not right, you wait for now. And the security services to be very, very wrong, totally unacceptable, and apolitical and wrong. For the security services should show their apolitical nature. So if the IG of police here in Abuja gives permit, say I permit you to go to Bayelsa to a rally, it's wrong. The governor is the chief security officer of the state. That's what the Constitution says. We must respect that. So I don't think that it's also a way of trying to cause trouble in the whole South-South. So what is the purpose, the objective of these rallies? They should first go to Ogun State. They should go to Ondo State, go to Kano State, go to Borno State, where the vice president comes from, go to Benue State, where the SGF comes from, and other states, and hold these rallies. Bayelsa is too tense. And mind you, what is happening in Rivers State is also creating tension in Bayelsa State. Because even a lot of internally displaced people in the surrounding villages have moved into Bayelsa. There are people who are displaced right now. So why do you want to go there? So I think that the people who are in charge of the country should talk to these people. They should not do these things. It is only raising tension around the country, putting flame where there is no flame. I think that, and those who are promoting internally should also know that anything can go wrong. And some of us trepidate when we feel that human life will be lost or somebody can be hurt. So I don't think I support these rallies they're doing. And it's time for governance. Listen, there are a lot of serious problems in this country. Serious, look at what happened in Uromi. 16 human beings murdered. And when we went to see the president on the 11th of March, that was one of the issues we raised to Mr. President. Mr. President, well done. Thank our military for the good work they are doing in the northeast, in the northwest, and the north central. But there's a collateral impact in the south, particularly the south-south. In Edo State, it was clear in our statement to Mr. President, in Edo State, in Delta State, in the states that are fringes to the North Central, Cross River State, there's an upsurge of movement of undesirable elements. People whose purpose, whose objective is to cause trouble. Armed men. If the military, the security services are not fully deployed to gather intelligence, to be able to apprehend these people and curtail their activities, there will be a recline to self-help. I can read that section. We will use that language. There may be a recline to self-help. So these are serious problems. Now today 16 people have died. and many other injured, maybe on the two sides, but 16 people have injured. And our hearts go out to their families as PANDEF. We feel sorry for it, and we hope that our friends from Arewa, Northern Elders Forum, who are our partners in the northern side, will talk to their people. These things can cause reprisals up and down and create trouble in the country. But what I'm saying, there are more serious issues in the country. If the IG of police is ready to deploy 1,000, 2,000 policemen to go and guide somebody doing rally, like he did in Abalama, let him deploy them to the forest in Edo State. Why deploy people always to places where there is politics? Deploy them to where there is a challenge. And let us be able to bring these things down in this country. We live happily together, not only Edo State, in the whole South. In my village, in fact, I have a farm in my local government headquarters called Oporoma, my mother's hometown. Big farm. Planting potato and other things, and ginger and other things. Among my workers in the farm, I was surprised when I went home last. There were some people who are from the north. Huh? I said, why did you? They said, no, they come here as workers. They work during the farming period, then they go back. We pay them. When it's time for harvest, they'll come back. After the flooding season, that's when our people catch a lot of fish. Do you know those that come to join our people to fish? They call them aboki fishermen. They come with their tools. They come in groups of about 20, 30. They'll agree with you. We'll come and fish for you for a period of 3 weeks. This is when you catch the fish, we share the fish. We dry our own, we carry our own to go and sell in different markets. And that's how we live our lives. We've been living our lives like that for many, many years. Happily. Right in the creeks, but there's no road to my village. But there are people from the north living there. Happily. So I think that we want to maintain this peace. But the government has to help us, because as security is heating up on these people, the army, the Air Force, they're doing a great job in northwest, northeast, north central. They're moving. They're looking for other places, moving south. So let us be able to to withstand them and stop them from moving in and making other places ungovernable, because the war will be, as you are quenching it, fire there, fire is now starting on another place. They will fortify and have more intelligence on these movements, particularly if they are arm-bearing. Because everywhere farmers' herders clashes. But once people now see that a herder is carrying weapons, they'll say this is a kidnapper, or they've come to kill us. So let's try to put more focus on intelligence and on information gathering and being able to stop these kinds of situations.